What's up guys, this is David McNally here with 4-Shot Pickleball, and I'm going to show you how I wrap my paddle. I'm using the PX Vamos, the paddle from Pello, company that currently I'm an ambassador for, but I would use the same way to wrap any paddle I'm using, just at the moment it happens to be this one right here. First things first, got my paddle out of the packaging. Most paddles come with a dampener. I'm usually not a fan of keeping these on, but that's just my personal preference. I like to put on my Overgrip. I like to use the Unbox Super Grip Overgrip, but any Overgrip will do. Overgrips are just a nice way to get a little bit more traction with the paddle in your hand. Definitely very important for the summer months, maybe not as important for the winter months, but I do the same Unbox Super Grip year round. The plastic that comes surrounding it, and I take off this little paper boy. And I always like to start at the bottom. I like to find where the stock grip kind of ends, and I'll start it on one of these knuckles here. I'm gonna press the adhesive part, and now holding my thumb down, I'm going to wrap the bottom, making a little overlap here. I'm gonna make sure that there is enough tension between the Overgrip and the paddle here. I don't want it to be loose. I want it to be nice and tight. You can kind of see here that there's no space between the Overgrip and the stock grip. And I'm just gonna rotate the paddle in my hand and make sure I've continued this tension here. And this is something that very much matters what people prefer, whether you like how tightly you want to wrap this, but generally I kind of like to do maybe about a thumb's width of wrap Overgrip. So I'm just gonna kind of go about it like so. So far so good. If I make a mistake, I can always just kind of go back if I see a little bubble or I wrapped it a little too tight or a little too loose. But you can see I'm trying to have a nice kind of even distance here from every one of my wraps. Doesn't need to be perfect, but you can have it perfect if you so choose. It's looking pretty good. Continuing that tension throughout. Now as I'm getting to the end here, I'm gonna continue to grip. Now I'm kind of getting onto the edge guard here. I'm probably gonna, once I hit the edge guard, I'm gonna do maybe one more wrap, and then I'm gonna get my trusty pair of scissors, and I'm going to cut. I wanna make sure you guys can see this. I'm gonna cut about a 45-degree angle, somewhere around towards the end of the grip. But again, it really does not need to be perfect, especially when you're learning, you're starting off. You know, be easy with yourself. And soon enough, you keep on doing this, you're gonna be able to wrap your own paddles. You don't have to ask anybody to do it, and you can do it as much and as often as you would like. So now that I kind of cut this little 45-degree little end here, I could have even cut it a little further if I would have liked, but this will do. So I'm gonna get my adhesive part that comes with every Overgrip. Going to secure it on this little end that I made. Continue with that tension. Gonna wrap it around. Here's my little USCA Pickleball approval stamp, but most paddles will have it somewhere around there. You don't have to keep it covered, I don't think, these days, but that's kind of a good marker of where I like to finish my grip. Now I'm just gonna go around here. Wrap around the overgrip, make sure that securing my little cut, and voila. You can see this little edge here from where I cut it, but it's just nice and taut, it's not gonna come loose. And that's a pretty good grip right there. That's very satisfactory for my standards. Yep, feels good, looks good. Good to go. So now that I got my overgrip in place, I'm gonna get my lead tape secured onto here. So I just end up buying lead tape that is 2 grams per inch of lead tape. I can put a link in the description. I can show you this exact one I bought, but over the years I bought different ones, but what I keep consistent is that 2 grams per inch. So this one was a nice pack. It even came with a glove. This is to protect ourselves from the exposure to lead. I think this is a good idea to do it. If you don't have gloves though, that's fine. Make sure that you're not touching your face, not touching your mouth, not really touching anything else but the paddle. Washing your hands thoroughly afterwards. You should be fine. Don't be one of those people who just has their lead tape exposed. Don't be one of those people. This is, as you can see, just a piece of overgrip that I've saved over years. This is a 6-inch strip. Yes, this is what 6 inches looks like. Don't get fooled into thinking it's any longer. Again, I just use this with a ruler, so I recommend having a nice 6-inch reference point. All right, comes in a nice coil like this. Unravel a little piece of it. Again, this does not need to be super perfect. If it's a little shorter, if it's a little longer, that's okay, because I'm gonna show you a little trick that I like to do. So I'm laying this out on top here, making a cut. All right, so this is 1 6-inch strip. And again, even if it's not perfect, what I'm gonna do is now just use this as my reference point. So even if it's a little shorter, a little longer, it will be the same length. Nice, made a little imprint. I can just finish this cut now. Voila, 2 6-inch strips of lead tape. Where are we gonna put this? I like to put it in the throat of my paddle, down here. Having the lead tape down here at the bottom really shores up mishits. This is going to put my paddle at about 9 ounces. This comes in about 8.1. Once these 2 strips go on, it'll be at 9 ounces. That's nothing crazy, but that is a nice weight for me. So I'm taking off the little adhesive protection on the back. And again, you can tell a theme here. It's not about being perfect, it's about doing what you want to do. So I'm gonna put this about like 1 finger knuckle worth of distance from the edge guard, eyeballing it about here. You want to try to center it in the edge guard. This is a 16 millimeter paddle, so take that into consideration. Yeah, I can see it's about even. So now I'm pressing in the bottom with a nice even distribution of pressure and continuing to line it up in the center as I go around this curve. I'm pressing, pressing, pressing. Looks quite good. I don't see any space, I don't see any bubbles. So that looks pretty good to me. Let me get the other strip. Now again, I'm just gonna wanna kinda eyeball this and make sure it's about the same. If you really wanted to get specific, you could measure it, but I don't find that there's much of a need. That looks pretty good to me. Pressing it down. Again, lining it up in the middle of the edge guard. Looks pretty good. Make sure that it's still in the middle of your edge guard when you go around the bend here. All right, that looks pretty clean. What do you think, YouTube? Looks pretty good. So now, don't be one of those guys who just has their lead tape exposed, poisoning the pickleball community. Let's use the old red electrical tape. Again, this is gonna be a nice barrier between the lead tape and my hands. So you can easily pick some of this up anywhere you go. I got it on Amazon. I will put a link in the description. I'm gonna start it basically right at the edge guard, or right at the overgrip. Make sure this is centered. Again, whatever your specific paddle is, just make sure that you're getting an electrical tape that is thick enough. Pretty sure that this is 20 millimeters, but I will put the exact link below. Let's go all the way around, just to protect the edge. Just kind of flattening it as you go. Make sure there's no air bubbles. Looks pretty good. Again, go up right till about the overgrip. Get your trusty scissors out. That looks pretty good to me. Just because this electrical tape I got was a little thin, I'm gonna put another layer on. Also, just doesn't hurt, as it'll give me another layer of protection. But looks pretty good to me. So let's do one last layer here. Off with the snip. All right. This paddle is now good to go. I'm not gonna do anything else to it except play. So thank you for watching. If you have any questions, just leave them in the comments below. Happy to share anything about this paddle or what else I do with my gear. But thank you so much for watching, and enjoy pickling, my friends. Booyah!